Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Villa, No Filler, a podcast all about Aston Villa. Once again, as you can see, the world's greatest football team. Well, clearly the biggest event on the planet that has happened today surely has to be Aston Villa 3, Nottingham Forest 1 at Villa Park. What a way to bounce back. How often do we say it? The Villa of old. The Villa of old, when they have setbacks, they don't tend to react well to it. But this Aston Villa team under Unai Emery, they're made of different stuff. And as we've seen in the past, when Villa have lost, had bad losses, they always bounce back. I said it after the Arsenal game, think back to that 5-1 on the opening day against Newcastle 2 years ago. What happened? The week after, we go and beat Everton 4-0 at home. And then this week, obviously, after an 11-game winning streak, 17 wins in 19, we go to Arsenal, a team that, are presently title rivals, you have to say, just given where we are in the in the league. We go there and we lose 4-1. We have a bad day out, don't we? A lot of mitigating circumstances, I think. Game volume being one thing. Also, you have to say the number of injuries and suspensions just caught up with us in that game. But Aston Villa today, after losing 4-1 at Arsenal, after the number of games we've had in a row, you sort of think, right, well, could there be a problem today? Could the confidence be sapped out of them? Not this team. Not this team. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. They always bounce back. So happy New Year, everybody. Aston Villa have started another winning run, hopefully. We'll find out at Crystal Palace whether it is a winning run. But fantastic to bounce back like that. And so today's game against Nottingham Forest, it really reminded me of Everton versus Aston Villa last season at Villa Park, which ended 3-2, right in the early days of last season. Do you remember? It was John Duran scored that screamer. Do you remember the one that left Emi Martinez open-mouthed in how incredible it was? And the reason it reminded me of that is because, A, the Everton team were managed by Sean Dyche at the time, and they were very, very passive. And Aston Villa had so much of the ball in that game that it was almost like at some point you huff, you puff. At some point, we're going to blow the wall down. But if you remember that game as well, Everton had their chances on the break as well. And Dwight McNeil caused Villa loads and loads of problems because we'd be pressing really high. And what would happen is McNeil would play the sort of Morgan Rogers role for Everton. He'd find a bit of space, between our midfield and defence. And our defence is playing really high, and Calvert-Lewin might make a run in behind him. And McNeil was constantly finding those passes in behind. And, they scored twice. One was a set piece from Calvert-Lewin, a simple ball in from McNeil, Calvert-Lewin at the back post. And I sort of forget their other goal, but I think it was just a straight one-on-one. And then they had another one-on-one where they hit the crossbar. So clearly, the reason I've talked about that game is because it reminded me of it so much, and that Villa were just so dominant. But we were hit on the break. And so you can kind of see why Sean Dyche thought to try and repeat that today. And, in fairness to him, there were one or two occasions you thought maybe it would pay off. But if I'm honest, they're so passive that you just think, you're just asking for Villa to punish you here. And, if you think back 2 years ago when Aston Villa could have gone top of the league in December 2023, I want to say it was, when we drew 1-1 with Sheffield United at home. Sheffield United were bottom of the league. They're in terrible form. Chris Wilder came in, basically put 6 at the back, and Villa huffed and puffed all game and couldn't break them down until Zaniolo, right at the end, scored an equaliser because in the 85th minute, Cameron Archer scored sucker punch goal for them. So clearly that's one way that some teams might think they can play against Aston Villa at Villa Park. But the problem is now with Villa, we seem to find a way to break down these low blocks now. We're willing to take the shots from the edge of the area. We're willing to make XG nerds cry. And they'll all be there right now with their spreadsheets out, Excel on, crying into their Weetabix, thinking, God almighty, Villa have ruined XG again. Because we did. Now, look, I think first 15 minutes, Villa were all over Forest, all over them, and should have raced into a lead, really. Because we could have got punished, and then because Forest sort of weren't settled into the game, so Villa were just picking them apart, moving really, really well, using the impetus and going at them, And, Morgan Rogers chases down, I think it's Murillo very early on, second, third minute. Watkins takes a touch and misses from close. And I think that's the sort of chance where you look at Watkins and think, Watkins scores the type of goals which are snapshots. Sometimes they're deflections. A lot of his goals tend to be from, chances that you think that's not an easy chance, but somehow it's gone in. And quite often with the sort of easier chances, he doesn't quite have that sort of, the striker instinct of like a predatory instinct, I guess, where they just have an extra second in their heads and just lift it over the keeper to go 1-0. And if that goes 1-0, Forest game plan out the door. Because then Villa probably, given that, the confidence blow we've given to them, we could race into a 2 or 3-0 lead within 15, 20 minutes. That's just the sort of game it was. But we didn't take it. And Forest then, after about 15, 20 minutes, it did start to settle down, as it naturally probably would if we can't get that early goal, into a 4-5-1. But they were so deep all the time. And I think they had one break where Amari Hutchinson cuts in on his left and takes a shot, and it's a decent enough save from Emi Martinez. And there was one set piece as well where Emi Martinez had Milenkovic on him and he came away to punch it. So clearly that's something he's been told he should do now, after what happened against Chelsea and Arsenal. So that's something we'll probably have to look out for a little bit more in the upcoming games. But generally from there, the game settled down, and yeah, there was a little bit of a worry. I was thinking back to that Everton game, actually, where I thought slightly worried that at some point, if we don't take a chance, that it just drags on and it drags on. And then at some point, Forest are just going to find that, that through ball. I guess they didn't have, what Everton had last season in Dwight McNeil, who can pick those passes. I guess they didn't really look like they had a player who could do that today. But, there would be a chance for them at some point. But no, they're right on the cusp of half-time, win it back. Good quick balls between, I think, is it Tielemans, Rogers, and Watkins. And Watkins, what a hit. What a hit. Brilliant, brilliant goal from him. And that's, he's back on it. He's back on it. Never doubt the man, because when he gets one, more often than not, he tends to get a lot of them. And, he got that goal, he got those 2 goals against Chelsea. He got 2 early in December against Brighton as well. But the 2 goals against Chelsea, followed up with a goal against Arsenal, and now another screamer against Forest. Hopefully, now this is the sign. Palace on Wednesday, Spurs next week, Everton in a couple of weeks, Newcastle, Fenerbahce. All these games are the sorts of games where you think Watkins will just add to his tally now, hopefully, and get on there and aim for 15 goals this season, between 15 and 20. Aim for it, because I think that's now in the league this season. I think that's 6 he's got. So, aim for 15, 20. And if you can get to that goal contribution in the latter half of this season will be massive for Aston Villa. In, our aim to come top 3. Top 3. If we get top 5, top 5 is the Champions League. Obviously that is our aim. Top 4 specifically, I guess, but top 5 is likely going to be Champions League. But you want to get into that. You have to get into that top 3 now, Villa, I think, or aim for it at least. And injuries will tell. We don't have the squad depth of the likes of Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. But if we can just keep going, racking up these wins, getting top 3 and over 70 to 80 points would be fantastic for us. It really would. So keep going. We're above City. We're in January. We're second in the league, and we're above City. It's unbelievable, man. Go on another winning run, lads. And hopefully Onana, his injury, hopefully it's not too long. I mean, he did get a similar injury last season where he was out. I think he got it exactly the same time at Arsenal last season, and he was out roughly about close to 2 months. But look, Powell's nearly back now. Mings is nearly back. Hopefully Onana's not too long. So if we can just keep that core there or thereabouts playing to the end of this season, big things can happen for Villa. Big things. But look, more on this game. Watkins getting that goal just before half-time was massive, really, because it could have got a very frustrating day, and it could have got difficult for us. Yes, I think in the end the pressure would have told. I think Villa would have been really at them, and I think that Villa would have picked up the pace and just gone at Forest and found a way, because that's the way we do it now. We do tend to find a way. I can't believe I'm wearing my scarf. Still wearing my lucky scarf, actually. I might keep it on for the podcast. I'm going to heat up here, but it's freezing cold today. But my lucky scarf, my Villa scarf. But Yeah, from then, second half, Villa come out, and it's just, again, Forest. What do you do against Villa at Villa Park? It's such. Every manager in the Premier League can sit around and wonder about it. I don't know what the answer is. I've watched Aston Villa every single game under Unai Emery. I genuinely have absolutely no idea what you should do to Villa, really, because there's no foolproof plan, because we're so good at home. We're just so good. I sort of think first 20 minutes, you sort of need to try and go toe to toe with Villa. But then if you do that, Villa will suck you in. And what will happen is that classic Cash to Consa to Kamara back to Powell or Lindelof. Quick ball into Rodgers, who's come deep and found a gap. And then from there, it's just knife through butter and it counter attack. So, I mean, and then the alternative is to try and do what Deitch did today, and as he did with Everton last season, sit deep, invite the pressure, and try and find a sucker punch. I mean, we are supporting an absolutely fantastic football team when every single team in the country simply doesn't seem to have a way of dealing with us. I mean, apart from Palace, I mean, that is it. And we'll find out Wednesday whether we've figured out a way to deal with them. But yeah, from there, I think early second half, again, it just felt to me like Villa are keeping up the pace here. We haven't gone composed to casual, which is a criticism I've had for such a long time of Villa in the way when we take these leads. But and then from there, obviously, we find that second goal early on, second half. Great, delaying Bakwa. I thought we had an absolutely shocking game for Forest today. They signed him from, I think it's Strasbourg. They signed him from in the summer. He was really poor second half, and then he gives the ball away twice, I think, when Villa hassled him quite high up the pitch. He works his way across, and Kamara, who I thought was absolutely world class again today, and I think man of the match for me. I just thought he was amazing. He's an amazing player. I'll talk more about him in a second, but he waits for Cash to make that run, waits for Cash to get into that final third, makes the pass at the right time. Good ball across from Cash. And Mcginn, great finish. Because it's sort of, you think the defender's going to get to it. Mcginn sort of leaves his foot behind the defender, so lets the defender come across him. And so Mcginn doesn't get fooled by that, keeps his eye on the ball and just top corner. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. But then, what did I say? Composed to casual, and you could feel it. Now, there's a reason Villa's games at home tend to end with stuff. I can see comments coming in. I will get to those in a second, as I always do. Please please subscribe. Subscribe if you want Aston Villa to win the league this season. Subscribe if you're delighted with everything that's going on with Villa right now. Please do. Hit those likes. But Villa win 3-1 in games or 4-2 or 3-2 because there's games like today where you think we should win 5-0. That's the sort of pressure we're on, right? But what we do is we go into a 1-0 or a 2-0 lead, and then it all gets a bit sloppy. It's always like we just sort of get a bit it's almost too easy. And how we continue to do this for the last 2 years straight. I've been saying this on this podcast for 2 years, going all the way back to 2 years ago when we went 3-0 up against Forest. I think we were 3-0 up by the 50th minute. They get a weak goal from a Gibbs White, like today. Then it goes to 3-2. Then we wake up and we make it 4-2. Brentford 2 years ago, what is it, 2-0 up? We just fall asleep. 5 minute spell where they score 3. They come at us. They change the pace of the game. It's almost like we're on the beach drinking pina colada, and the other guys who are on the beach, with the sunburn, and they think we're eyeing up their girlfriend, and they're getting a bit jealous, and they start pumping some iron, and they start, they run at us, and we're like, hang on, we've got a pina colada here. What are you doing? And we don't seem to wake up to the oncoming danger of it. And then, we let them hit us with a punch. And it's only then that we wake up. And did it again today. We did it against Burnley this season. 2-0 up. Easy. Easy. Should be 3 or 4. And we give a goal away. And it, 2-1. But then we, credit to Villa. We see the game up. We don't seem to, yes, I mentioned that Brentford game 2 years ago where we caved in. to make it through too. But we don't tend to cave in that often when these blows happen to us. Instead, what we tend to do is we defend well, restrict the chances, and then we go and find another goal. And that's why these games quite often end up 3-1. I think 3-1 is the classic Unai Emery score at Aston Villa. And it is always in the same pattern. First half, all over them, get a goal, then maybe get another, let the other team back into it, gets too casual, from composed to casual, they score a sloppy goal, then we wake up and we go get third and see the game out. I mean, that tends to be how it is. In one game this season, for instance, Bournemouth, when we were 2-0 ahead, Bournemouth were killing us from 45th minute to about 60th. They had a penalty, which we saved. That amazing Martinez knock over the bar from a Bournemouth deflected shot. And they could have made it 2-1. They didn't. We then made it 4-0. But there's a lot of games where Villa could win them 4-0. We tend to sort of win them 3-1. Now, it's fine if we're winning, but there will come a moment when this sloppiness, it does cost you. And look, this is nitpicking, right? This is so nitpicky because so often our home form is incredible. We've just won a game 3-1. So often it doesn't cost us, right? But one day it might. And those are the margins right at the top of the table, which presently is where we are. And if we want to win things, if we dare I say want to win the league one of these years, those games sometimes are where you're like, you can't switch off. You cannot switch off. And I think that'd be the first one of the things I would love to interview Unai Emery about. Firstly, I'd ask him, are you God? Secondly, I'd ask him, like, what's the meaning of life? Because you seem to know bloody everything. I mean, you are a genius. I'd buy him about 10 bottles of champagne and bankrupt myself for it. And I'd say, would it be weird if I got a tattoo of you on my face? But what I then would ask him is, after all of that, and I've weirded him out, and he's probably booked a first-class flight back to the Basque Country and gone into hiding, is that I'd say, why do Villa do this? What is the thing about us going from composed to casual? And the theory could be, maybe it's too easy, but another theory could be that I think Unai Emery is such a genius with how many, European football, and it's why his teams tend to always do so well in Europe, and at the same time still always manage to finish in European positions within the Premier League or La Liga or Ligue 1, as he's found in the past. And the reason I think is because he manages the minutes of his team and maybe says to them, now there's this slot here where we're going to, slow it down a bit, invite the pressure, see it out. And I think sometimes Villa maybe just get into a casual mindset. I'd love to ask him. I think it'd be a really fascinating thing. But look, hey, as I say, nitpicking, and from there, Villa again, we woke up and there was a 10-minute spell where you thought, right, Forest has got a goal. They're going to come at us. Villa didn't allow that to happen. Didn't allow it to happen. Just, like we lost at Arsenal. What do? Bounce back and we win. When we lose at Anfield, what do? We bounce back and we win. We lost to Go Ahead Eagles. You bounce back and you win. And you can see the goal when you're Aston Villa right now. What happens? Don't matter. We'll just see the game out. We'll find a way and get a third. And Forest's goalkeeper, he looked a bit dubious once or twice in the first half, and you might even ask questions about Watkins' goal. Whether he could have. It's a fantastic finish. Whether he could have done a bit better, but what the hell he's doing for that Mcginn second, I have no idea. It's a brilliant ball from Yuri Tielemans, and it's classic Villa where the other team have gone a bit higher. Tielemans has found a gap in that box shape. Him or Rodgers do this all the time. Him or Rodgers find that space, the turn, and it's quick, incisive pass forward, and the other team are just all over the place. Tielemans finds that space and a lovely weighted ball into John Mcginn. Great touch. And, as I say, John Victor, what the hell he's doing, I have no idea. But look, hey, Mcginn took it past him. He has a composure, A, to have a good first touch, B, to be aware the keeper's coming and take it round him. And then C, that is not an easy finish. That is not an easy finish. Yes, for a professional footballer, it is easier, but still, it ain't easy. And if you look at the goal from behind Mcginn, from sort of Emi Martinez's view, I guess, when you see him hit it, the ball, it's going wide at first, but the curve on it, it's a fantastic finish. It's a brilliant finish. And yet again, another one from outside the area. Looks like Screamers are back on the menu, boys. Unbelievable. I love it. We score from everywhere. And that's great, isn't it? That's just brilliant. And then from there, like I say, Forest make a lot of their subs. Doesn't make a difference. Villa make their subs. I think we look really solid just to see the game out. And there we go. I mean, in reality, it probably could have been 4-1 Villa. But eased out that game. And it wasn't too much physical exertion, I guess, given the fact that we have such a huge game load right now. And we have Palace coming on Wednesday, which is going to be a very difficult game. And then Spurs away as well next Saturday, which again is going to be a difficult game and involve a lot of physical exertion. And what we don't want right now is players to just be getting injuries, getting over-exhausted. So, yes, we shall see. Hopefully, everyone's seen it through and we're okay. So, what a way to bounce back. What a way to start the year. And what a way to start the second half of this season now as well, because this is it now. Got to keep going in the Premier League. Got to get through that. Rack up those wins. Win the games we're expected to win at home, because we built such a buffer now to the likes of United and Chelsea and even Liverpool. Just keep racking up those wins, and Champions League football is coming. And now I would say forget about the rest behind us. Forget about that. If you're Villa's players, look at City and Arsenal and just think, let's do everything we can to keep the pace with them. At least try, because look, they are the favourites. They are. But let's just try and keep pace as long as we can with those two teams. And then, who knows what can happen. And look, I haven't even looked at the Premier League table yet, but, it's looking all right, isn't it? I mean, if I try and share screen here, try and find the Premier League table. Can you see it? There it is. Look at that. Villa, 42 points, second place. Unbelievable stuff, really, isn't it? Please keep those comments coming in. Please like and subscribe, but we'll get to the comments in a second. But look at that. Arsenal on 45. Game in hand, obviously. Bournemouth away. That ain't easy. Villa at home, 42. City on 41. They've got Chelsea tomorrow. I'd fancy them to smash Chelsea, to be honest, after what happened. And then look at that. 9 points clear of Liverpool in fourth in January. And Liverpool, I mean, I keep expecting them to sort of turn it around at some point. I keep expecting them to go on a run, and I'm sure it will come. But I watched them against Leeds the other day, and they were just absolutely rubbish, to be honest. There's nothing there. Chelsea, 12 points clear of Chelsea, 12 clear of United. I mean, Newcastle and Spurs are nowhere in sight. I mean, if top 5 is Champions League, I'd say this season now, forget about that. Forget about that being around. Just try and keep the pace as long as we can with Arsenal and City and just see how far we go. That's the way to think about it, I think, now. And look, obviously Champions League is the end. Obviously is. That with the squad we've got and the manager we've got, if we can just get back in the Champions League, it's so exciting to think about what we can go and do this summer and the types of players we can attract, and also what it means for us in the long term as well. Because if we get the Champions League twice in 3 years, well, then that's the reputation we gain. It's as I said, it's that transition period when Atletico Madrid went from jokers to a regular Champions League team, started winning things. When Spurs went from mid-table jokers to a regular Champions League team. Both of those clubs now, after that transitional phase, you identify as teams that you think, if they're in the Champions League, you think, yeah, that makes sense. They've been there a lot before. It's not a laughing matter to think they should be there again. And you look at Aston Villa, if you get that 2 out of 3 seasons, for the future, it means players identify you and agents identify you as a club that gets Champions League, and other clubs, other fans, they identify Aston Villa as a team to be taken seriously and a team that should be in the Champions League. And if we get that regularly, that therefore should lend itself to us being a club that then not only get into Europe all the time, but we're a club who win things. And that is crucial. Massive, really. So, yeah, a massive, massive start to January. That's brilliant, because, like I say, what's your mentality like after you lose at Arsenal? Quite, and quite badly, really. But No, it doesn't bother us at all. Go and win 4-1, 3-1, and that's it. And everybody, again, I want to give a shout out to a couple of players. John Mcginn, unbelievable, mate. I thought, Watkins ran all day, got his brilliant goal, which set us on our way. Tielemans, fantastic as ever. Conser, amazing as ever. Lindelof, I want to give out a huge shout to, really. And I think you got to give it to Lindelof because I said about a month ago when I looked at Villa's squad, and this was before Pau got injured, my biggest fear was Pau Torres getting injured, particularly with Tyrone Mings being out of the team. Because I thought that left centre-back role is so crucial to how Aston Villa play out from the back. And Pau Torres is so crucial. He's such a fantastic player. And he had been, for me, the player of the season up until the point he got injured, because it's not a coincidence that when Pau Torres came back into the team against Fulham, when we were 1-0 down, Villa went and won that game 3-1. And from there, we went on our winning streak of 7, led all the way up to beating Arsenal 2-1. So when Torres got injured, it was like, well, we've got no left centre-back. So Lindelof's going to have to go in and play on his weaker foot. And that is, trust me, if you've never played it, at whatever level you play at, whether you're playing on a park pitch, you're playing for a pub team, whether you're playing for bloody professional, semi-pro, whatever, if you're playing your weaker foot as a centre-back, it's really hard. And Lindelof is just, the fact we've won, what have we played with him now? What is it, 5 games, 6 games? And we've won 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7, whatever it is that he's played. You got to give him massive credit. Massive, massive credit. And again, today, stepped up. And look, he wins headers as well. He's a big physical lad. He's been really useful. And I think fair play to the scouting department for getting him in. That's proven a really, really canny signing. I like Lindelof a lot. I like him. Yes, he's gone walkabout for the Forest goal. I think if you were to say it was anyone to blame, I think generally it's a malaise that goes into the team, composed to casual, always seems to happen with us. But Lindelof sort of gets dragged out of position. He follows the man rather than looking at the ball and looking at where Morgan Gibbs White is making that run, and that's how Gibbs White gets through on goal. But again, I just want to give a shout out for Lindelof because I really think we have to give him big credit for what he's done, stepping up into a really difficult role in a team that keeps on winning, is playing at the top of the league. And but for me, man of the match, John Mcginn gets the 2 goals, brilliant stuff from him. But man of the match overall, Boubacar Kamara. First half, it was, we were going largely down the wings. Kamara was staying further forward. Then we switched into a kind of Kamara going into that back 3 like we saw against Burnley earlier this season. So then Kamara steps back into a back 3 when Villa have possession. And you've got Kamara, Cash and Maatsen pushing on, turning us almost into a team that's playing like a 3-5-2 almost. And we just have that width so we can work stuff out wide and work stuff back into the centre. But you want, when a team's sitting back as deep as Forest are, it's very difficult to do anything centrally because they're bunging up the middle. So you do have to start doing stuff out wide. And Kamara stepping back as a back 3 does that. But then the way he was all through the game, stepping into tackles, the amount of times, it's unbelievable. If William Shakespeare watches Kamara today, he sits down, grabs a bloody pipe, Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, grabs one of them pipes he's got, looks up at the sky and starts talking to Frodo about Boubacar Kamara and says that Kamara is probably a wizard. Because it's just like the amount of times the camera cuts close to an opposition player, right? And there's no Villa player around them. And then out of nowhere, Kamara just appears and just sticks his foot in. Now, I as an older player now, I can't really play further forward as I used to when I was younger because my pace is gone. So I'm trying to learn to be a more defensive player, and that is hard when you're older. And I look at Kamara and think, like, how do you do it? How do you always time it so perfectly? How do you read it so well that you get into tackles? And so few other professional footballers are capable of this. He's one of the best central defensive midfielders on the planet. How the hell this guy is not a starter for France every game? How the hell this guy doesn't seem to be on the radar of Real Madrid or beyond me? Because he's absolutely unbelievable. And again, today, it was another example of it. He just goes about his business, quietly does it, sticks his foot in. And the amount of times when he sticks his foot in, then Villa win the ball back high up. and then it's a quick pass into whoever it is, Rodgers, Tielemans, quick pass into Marlon or Watkins, hits it, shot, maybe it's saved, goal. Kamara is just the greatest destroying midfielder I think I may have ever seen. I think he's unbelievable. He's a destroyer, but one who, so many of those sort of Gattuso-like destroyers. Do you remember Gattuso, the AC Milan, Italy centre midfielder? Yes, he was a top-class player, but I wouldn't say he was, the most technically gifted, but Kamara has that about him, that Gattuso style, but he's got all the class in him as well. He's amazing. I thought he was amazing again today. So, yeah, let's see what he does on Wednesday night. Huge game against Palace. I'm going to it. So if you're there and you see me there, come say hello. It'd be great to chat to you. Yeah, I'll talk about Palace a little bit more in later this week, I think. But 3-5-2, we beat United. They played 3-5-2. Palace are not in good form. They're likely missing Munoz. They're going to miss Ismail Assar. That's a huge plus for us if that's the case. So yeah, let's see what happens. And let's get to the comments. Big win for Villa. Big win that. Please like, please subscribe. Send in your comments here as well. Can't tell you enough. If you click subscribe on YouTube, if you just click subscribe on YouTube, it helps us massively. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers. Let's get up there. Up the bloody Villa, says RJ. Absolutely. Good afternoon, all UTV. Great to see you again, Black Country Villain, as always. Elliot Sims, good to see you too, mate, as always. Yes, sir, Frankie of Maguireshire. Yeah, Maguireshire. Probably somewhere in Ireland called that somewhere. Come on, Villa. Yeah, standing on the word. Absolutely. Come on, you Cherries tonight. Yep. Want the Cherries to get a result against the Arsenal. I've got to say, I've got a lot of Arsenal fan friends, right? So, and they're all brilliant people. So Arsenal have never really bothered me in the same way they seem to have done to a lot of people. This week, though, I have found online, with the amount of weird messages I've had from Arsenal fans, they're a very online fan base. And I can see why they've alienated and wound up so many. Those particular online fans have wound up and alienated so many other fan bases because they're just quite arrogant and annoying. But yeah, happy and prosperous New Year to all. Absolutely. And Aston Villa wishing us a new year, carrying us into the new year. Professor Unai doing what he always does. Mr. Tech Bits, hi Frankie. Happy with the amount of possession we had today. Would still like to see some earlier shots and goal because I feel like we find ourselves in cul-de-sacs quite often. Yeah, I think you could maybe say about Villa in that first half, one or two occasions where maybe overplayed it. It's easy to say that when they're sitting so deep, the opposition team, and it is difficult to play through. Maybe we could have taken on one or two longer shots on occasions. Maybe we could have been a little bit more incisive and quicker on the ball. But yeah, Kamara's so good, says Sean Green. Absolutely. As I said earlier, amazing. Daddy Greg TV, good to see you, mate. Great to bounce back and pleased with the win. However, I feel that Villa have more to give us as an attacking force. High tempo at times would pay dividends. Yeah, as I said earlier, I theorise there's some sort of game state that management of minutes that Unai Emery goes for. I think he likes to just take a lead and sort of not overexert players and think, how can we manage the game load that we have when we play in Europe? And obviously, there's a reason he's won so many games in Europe. Yes, I think there's games where I really would like to see Villa win some of these games like 4-5-0 sometimes, because those games are there to be won 4 or 5-0. Instead, we tend to go 2-0 and then get casual and concede a goal. I wish there was a way we'd stop conceding those casual goals. I think that is one wish I would have. Like I say, it's so nitpicky given how good this Villa team is. Duncan Kilburn, another great win. Mcginn, man of the match. Yeah, I think it's fair to say Mcginn's man of the match. I think that's totally fair. I've gone for Kamara personally. I think Mcginn absolutely as well. Second half he was brilliant, wasn't he? Talisman, he's just a fantastic player, and the amount of times he came back as well, and that awkward physicality he has. He's a special, unique player. No one else plays like him, really. First half, he wasn't great. He was a bit of a passenger. I'd say Buendia was a little bit as well. But second half, he was fantastic again. All good today, though. Watkins, yet more big chances missed in first 2 minutes. Yeah, as I say, that is sort of hilariously Ollie Watkins that first half. Scores the ones you don't expect him to score, like that screamer from the edge of the area and towards half time. But then the chance from 2 yards out, I think that's it's a symbol of the type of striker Watkins is. He's not a Ruud van Nistelrooy, clinical finisher, mate. Is it harsh? That's not a clinical finisher, but he's not maybe a predator. Is that the way you put it? A lot of his goals do tend to be snapshots, or he's driven at a player and smacked it one. And the keeper's not expecting it. But those sorts of chances where it's more one-on-one, or that chance today, if you watch it in slow motion, it's a lot easier to stay in slow motion, isn't it, than it is in the speed of the game. And I know for a fact I would have smacked it straight at the keeper, done exactly what Watkins did. But world-class sort of predator strikers, they probably see that and they seem to have an extra second, and he just lifts it over the keeper and it's 1-0. And if Villa get that 1-0 lead early on, throws Dyche's game plan out the window. Afternoon all, Rachel Insall Lewis. Afternoon, yeah, good to see you as well. Absolutely, Duncan. We need to get shots off more often when in and around the box. Yeah, first half, definitely. We could have got a few more shots off for sure. Steve, good to see you, mate. First win on the way to a boring 30-game winning run, European League title. This is getting boring. Yeah. Yep. If this is boring, I'm loving it. I hope we stay boring forever, because special times, man. Look at that league table again. Look at it. 3 points off top of the league after 20 games in January, above Manchester City. As Andy says, Andrew Bernard went to Cornell University in the US office. The good old days, and he says he wishes people could tell you when they're in them. I'm here to tell you we're in them. But the thing is, with the way what Unai Emery's doing for this Aston Villa team as a club, as a culture, as a club that becomes identified with winning, streaks and coming high in the Premier League and Champions League football, and hopefully winning things. There will be more good old days in the future than there has been in the past, is the way I'll put it. For too long, Aston Villa has been the definition of a sleeping giant. For too long, we've been a club who have not lived up to what we should be. There's no reason Liverpool and Manchester United should be bigger clubs than Aston Villa, really. If you look at the entire history of all these clubs, what happened was Liverpool and United got talismanic, culture-setting managers in Busby, in Ferguson, in Shankly, in Paisley, in Klopp, in Dalglish. All those managers set a culture, don't they? And they set you up as a club. Villa had it in Ron Saunders. We had it in George Ramsey 100 years ago. But since then, one or two near misses in Ron Atkinson. But Unai Emery is that first true manager to me that looks like the type of transformational manager that you can identify with someone like a Fergie. And I think Jacob Tanswell, the Athletic, fantastic journalist, I think it was Jacob Tanswell reported that Villa see Unai Emery internally as our equivalent of Ferguson, of Emery as a Ferguson. And yes, I keep comparing Aston Villa to Fergie's Man United at the moment, doing I? I'm probably really boring in saying it, but there's something of it about us. There is. And I think if Villa are to get to that, to be truly compared to Fergie's United, you have to win something. And I think that is presently the only thing we're missing under Unai Emery right now in it, is just winning something. And hopefully that comes this season. First win on the way. Yep, I think I read that. Keita, what result do we want from Man City and Chelsea? I haven't actually looked at the game fixtures today. Let me just see who is playing today in the Premier League. It is, forgive me, sorry, this is boring, isn't it? So tomorrow's City and Chelsea, and then Bournemouth and Arsenal later today. Wolves are taking a 1-goal lead against West Ham. I tipped West Ham to go down at the start of the season, and I'm sticking to it. They look toxic. Man City, Chelsea, what do we want? Well, I mean, we want a draw, I guess. I mean, probably. It's getting late in the day for Chelsea to catch us up now. Maybe they get a new manager bounce. Maybe they go on a 6-7 game winning streak, and then they're back in contention if Villa have a couple of slip-ups. But it's getting late in the day for Chelsea to catch up with us now. With them being 12 points behind us, that's hard to make up that gap now. It's getting late. So I'm going to be conservative and say I want to draw. Last week I said I want a City 5-0 win. Now I want to draw just because, which is showing my ambitions are changing. In a couple of weeks, if Chelsea slipped up again and Villa have won them a couple more and we're still around City and Arsenal, then I'm starting to think I want Chelsea to win. And that is a sign of where Villa are right now. It's amazing. But look, feet on the ground, because we don't have the squad depth City and Arsenal have. So you ultimately have to say they are the favourites. But if we can keep that core group without getting too many injuries, if we can just keep picking up these wins, who knows? Who knows? And Palace away on Wednesday. Let's see. Can we finally... Unai has been brilliant at overcoming hoodoos, hasn't he? Every hoodoo you can imagine, he seems to overcome them. Palace away has become a bit of a hoodoo under Emery. Glasner's become a hoodoo. Can we get a result against him? That'd be massive for us, I think. Please like, please subscribe. Click that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, wherever you are. Please do follow. Because look, it's more fun following fellow Villa accounts than following the abject depression that seems to be all over the terrible website that is Twitter, right? The utterly awful website that needs a new owner, I think. But yeah, please God, just let's all stick together, Villa fans, and we're on Blue Sky as well. Tony D, 1874, solid win, switched off for their goal and was hoping we turn the screw for a bigger goal difference. We do miss Powell's passing. Great finish for the first goal and a captain's performance from SJM. Yeah, I mean, look, when Powell comes back into the team, hopefully in a week or two, think about if Villa are winning all the time now, think about what we can do when he comes back. Unbelievable. And again, it's great that Lindelof has played all these games because Lindelof is settling into how we play now. So when he has to step in future games, he knows what to expect. Brilliant. Perfect time for Ollie. Just before half-time, match today will be a good watch. Oh, absolutely. When Villa win, I love match of the day. Great start to the new year, says Ed Golding. Absolutely. Top start. Good to see you, Ed. I suppose we have to go past that London club now and make them cry again. Yeah, let's do it. Come on. Gabrielle doing an Anna impression with the 3 points thing. We're in their heads. Let's stay in their head. Let's stay on their tails because they ain't going to like it if we're on their tails. Draw, I think that's to do with Palace. Look, if we drew at Palace, I want to win every game now. I do. If we draw, I think you probably have to say on our recent history there, okay. But I want us to keep on winning, keep on going. Tony D, if you're at Spurs Saturday, I'll buy you a beer, UTV. Well, if a late ticket comes up, I'll go. I haven't got one, but if one comes up and I'll see you there, mate, please do buy me a beer. I'd love to chat to you. Our recent bogey team next. Yep, bring them on. The Selhouse Park always a test for us. It is. About time we get something at Palace. Absolutely. Not looking forward to it. Commentator says HFD. Commentator was awful, says HFD. 1990. Yes. I don't know what it is. Every time I seem to listen to Aston Villa games, the co-commentator seems to be someone who played for the team that we're playing against. So they can't really disguise their sort of, affections for the opposition team. Looking particularly at Martin Keown and Arsenal, or Neville and Man United. Today, though, was it Andy Hinchcliffe? I think one piece of commentary was John Mcginn will be upset that he didn't start against Arsenal. Well, again, if you understand anything about Aston Villa, the fact of the matter is we don't have the squad depth that the teams like Man City and Arsenal have, right? So Villa went into that game and you're looking at it and you think, well, Unai's thinking, who can I bring on in centre midfield? Because Kamara's out, Anana, and Tielemans are my senior centre midfielders. Cash is out, so Bogart's got to go to right back. I'm going to need somebody to be that finisher in centre midfield, aren't I? And you're not going to rely on Anana's playing 90 minutes, are you? Because it's just not, he gets injured a lot. So McGinn is going to have to be that player who comes on. That is the reason McGinn didn't start against Arsenal. So McGinn's mature enough, we'll understand why he didn't start against Arsenal. Because he's the only option we have to come in as a senior, excellent centre midfielder and step into that role. And that's why I didn't start. And so, it just sounded like, I don't know, just a lot of stuff that I think, just so often I listen to commentators and think, mate, you just don't get it, do you? You just don't get Villa. And no wonder local Villa podcasts are so popular. Please smash the likes, as Black Country Villain. Please do smash the likes. Please subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, all those places. Great win, mate. Getting sick of hearing Chelsea fans saying Unai to Chelsea when what a laugh them like says Matt UK. He ain't going to Chelsea. Why would you swap a club where you have all the control in the world for a basket case like Blueco? It ain't even Chelsea, it's Blueco. A club where seemingly their owner, Bengali, seems to fall out with absolutely bloody everybody. He's fallen out. I mean, Todd Bowley and him don't seem to get on. Him and Pochettino didn't fall. They fell out when Pochettino looked like he was getting them somewhere. Him and Maresca have fallen out. I mean, if you're a player there like Cole Palmer, you must just look at it and think, I just can't be arsed for this. Come to Villa, Cole. Come to Villa. And yeah, I mean, Chelsea probably bid 120 million in the summer for Morgan Rogers if they want. If you're Rogers, you look at it, you think, do you really want to go there? Because it just looks like a basket case. Emery ain't going to Chelsea, mate. Roma, Spain. Hola. With Spain and Kamara, with Onana and Kamara, Villa wouldn't lose to Arsenal, 100% sure. Yeah, I think if Cash, Kamara, Onana, Tielemans and Mcginn are all available to start that game, it's a much different contest. Very different contest. Rugby, 30-88. Solid performance there. Good to see you, mate. Very mature Villa team. I hope we get to keep a clean sheet sometime. Yeah. The lack of clean sheets is quite annoying. It's very similar to 2 years ago, isn't it? Winning 3-1, 4-2, 3-2. Yeah, I'd say Martinez and the defence themselves are pretty frustrated with it. But if we keep winning, it's fine. But at some point, conceding goals, it's gonna cost you. That was only Ollie's second outside the box goal for Villas' Duncan Kilburn. I don't know if that's the case, but if it is, bloody hell, that's unbelievable. Shows what a striker he is. That clearly he gets into the right positions in the box and foxes in the box a little bit. But I'm amazed if that's his second goal from outside the area. Wow, that really is something. Wow. Good factoid, if so. Kevin Jeans, gotta love Watkins. Misses an easy chance at Arsenal. Scores world of Forest. Yeah. It is Ollie, isn't it? It is Ollie. We score where we want, from where we want. Absolutely. XG crying into his Nietzsche books, sitting there reading his philosophy books and, wondering, just wondering what our Villa, how do Villa keep doing it? Well, it's just magic, isn't it? Paul Welford, hi Frankie. We are not out of the title race yet. We are in it. Yeah, feet on the ground, but dare to believe. I mean, just keep winning. See where it takes us. Dougie had a great reception from the fans. Says, yeah, absolutely. Good to see him back as well. Obviously, we all wish Dougie well. Richie Ryan, good afternoon, Frankie. Back to winning ways. Very comfortable today. Pressure from the chasing pack. Just where we want it. Great performance. Kamara, Rogers, Tielemans, and Watkins. Kamara man of the match. Usually agree with everything you said there. And it feels like we're just getting Newcastle and Spurs are out of it. They are not catching us up this season. So 2 teams I would have thought would be real rivals throughout the rest of the season. They're gone. 2 less teams to think about. Chelsea and United, they're getting dangerously close to being teams that are too far off it. You can't, you never know. You never know. Injuries, Villa loss of form, new manager bounce, United click. You never know. But 12 points clear, they are leaving it late now to keep on Villa's tails. I miss Doug. It was nice to get the loving for him to get the loving. Yep. Frankie, I heard, says Paul Welford. I heard Villa will get to spend big next summer. We get Champions League. Yeah, that'd be great if we can. It kind of hurt the last season we didn't spend anything really. Bob Tomlinson, 68 points, our best in Prem, 38 games. We need to go on and beat that. Absolutely. My interview with Sam Ty this week, please go listen to that. We talked about what we expect and hope for in 2026 and for the rest of the season. Brilliant. Speak to Sam as always. But 68 points from our best in 38. Yeah, get over 70. That's what we mentioned with Sam. And I dare say the rate we're at, aim for 80. And that, again, is another mental milestone. Villa are breaking mental milestones all the time under Unai Emery. And that would be a big one if we could get that. Paul Welford, Watkins on 96 goals now for Frankie. Brilliant overall for Villa then. because I think is it 81, 82 he's got in the Premier League, 96 all over for Villa. Amazing. What a servant he's been for Aston Villa. He's approaching legendary status. He is. If he can get a trophy for us, massive. Palace a huge test and reveal how we've evolved the season as Mr. Tech Bits. Yeah, I think it'll be a good sign of whether we've overcome that back three hoodoo. We don't seem to play well against back threes. We don't play well against Glasner in particular. Let's see. Lindelof, my unsung man of the match is Weston. OUD, good to see you again, mate. Absolutely. Kamara is a silent man of the match every game. Yeah, absolutely. Alex Moreno, good to see you. I think you're in Miami as always. I think impressive performance against 11 behind the ball. Fancy the chairs, Nick something today. Yeah, it's not going to be easy for Arsenal. They're going to make it hard. Bring it on. John, good to see you, mate. Always say nice things. Villa's position on passing game is magical. It looks so simple, but the coach behind it's masterful. Yeah, that's the magic of this Villa team under Unai Emery. They make it look easy, but the coaching is unbelievable. The positioning, particularly Tielemans and Rodgers, the way they're able to pick their moments to get away from defenders, stand with wait for a pass, turn, and then Villa are just on for that knife through butter counter-attack. It's incredible. I can see so many people are watching this live. That's great to see you all. Thank you so much. Frankie, will you do a show about the January transfer window possibilities? Yeah, why not? Why not? Let's. Yeah, I'll try and do some research. Maybe get a guest on and look at where we think Villa can target this transfer window and what we'd like to see. Personally, I think defence needs a versatile player to come in who can cover the back line and is ready. Oscar Mingueza at Celta Vigo. I think he's out of contract this summer. I know he can play right back, centre back. That to me wouldn't be a player that I'd be too sad to see come into Villa. I'd be pretty happy because you look at Arsenal, the depth of defence they've got. If you're missing Saliba and Gabriel, with the amount of players you have to come in who can play right back, centre back, all those players, positions, and I do think that's something we should look at and think maybe we should try and emulate it. So many comments have come in. John Collins, good thing is players are stepping up. Yep, absolutely. Glutzendorf, great episode as always, Frankie UTV. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That I really appreciate that. If you like what we do, 5 stars on Apple. Sorry, I keep having to mention this, but it's just what you got to do, innit? 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. If you're on your phone app, you can just go on All Villa No Filler, click on it, settings, and you can give us a 5-star review if you like what we do. Same with Apple. If you write a nice review for us, that helps us massively because obviously the most negative people tend to be the loudest. So if you like what we do, it's a huge help. Peter Fati. Sorry, I've completely forgotten how to pronounce the name. I think a good Irish name there. Great to see Maatsen finally delivering. He's important with power, creativity missing. Yep, Maatsen's been really good. He's been really good, and he's our starting left back now, isn't he? Alex Money, here in the States, Stephen Warnock gushing over Villa. Too right, because he's just watched a serious football team play there, a serious one. Flangy, always great to see you, mate. Late to the parties, we've been out for tea. For what have you been up to? Oh, for the hubby's birthday. Happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to your husband. Two fine people, 2 big Villa fans. Great stuff. We'll try and spend in the view of current Champions League. A bit of a risk we did last season. It almost worked. Yeah, I mean, look, it's getting to the stage now where you just, why not take a calculated risk and go for it? I've seen a few people dreaming about Omar Marmoush from Man City. I'd take him. All day long. But I mean, look, if we make City an offer they can't refuse, take it. Would City sell to presently a team that's above them and could actually end up being a title rival? Probably not. But make an offer they can't refuse. Our Egyptian owner, representative in Elmo. Sawiris is close to City's ownership. It's not impossible. I'd have thought Asensio and Rashford was impossible last January, and look what happened. But a player of that quality, can Villa find someone of that quality to come in? I think if we can just get another defender in who's versatile, and if we can get another attacking, preferably a winger, I mean, Alisson maybe comes in and is somebody we mould into that role. But if we can get someone to just come in and be another attacking force, Villa then, striker perhaps, given that Watkins, he's not been in the best form, and though he started scoring again now, I'd like that. Yeah, another attacker, versatile attacker, and a versatile defender. I'll be very happy with this summer. No way City get the money back on Marmoush. Catcan and Marmoush cost 60 million, not happening. 2 comments there. And David Blurt and Graham Taylor lost to England. Who knows what could have been with him? Yeah, we came second in the First Division, didn't we, with Graham Taylor? Yeah, we were onto something with him. It's a shame we lost him to England. But on Marmoush, I think he's a fantastic player. I have no idea why City haven't been playing him this summer. He was brilliant when they signed him last January. Sorry, brilliant in the second half of the season. I'm sort of bewildered really as to what they've done with him this season. But Pep Guardiola knows a lot more about football than me. What I would say though is that if Omar Marmoush came into Aston Villa at any point, I would invite every single person who has made a comment here ever, anyone who subscribes to this podcast, I would buy every single one of you whatever drink you want. Champagne, in fact, I'll buy all of you a holiday. We can all go first class. I'm putting myself into debt here for it. Serious debt I'll never pay off. I'll buy every single person a first class flight to a beach in Spain, wherever you want to go. And then we'll all have a pina colada each, look out into the sunset and marvel at the fact that Omar Marmoush has come to Aston Villa, because I'd be loving it. Look, I better end it there. It's nearly an hour of me blabbering on. I can't half talk for England, can I? If there was an international team for talking, I'd be pushing for a starting place, wouldn't I? I could represent Ireland or England. I'd be pushing for a starting place for either. I'll tell you what. Thank you so much, everybody who's tuned into this, who's listened online on Spotify, Apple, wherever. Thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe and all that. But Aston Villa, we are supporting an absolutely brilliant football team that is made of stern stuff. I said it, what did I say last season? Cojones FC. That cojones. We got the cojones. We're a team that's made of decent, of sure stuff. Proper stuff, this team. Proper team. Go on to Palace now. Let's get another result. Up the mighty Villa.